Next up is going to be Yulong Huang from the Institute of Cognitive Neuroscience, Marc Genreau. She's a PhD student there, and she's going to show us some fMRI evidence on, again, the role of the motor system in cue-trigger decision. Do you need a pointer? So I hold these two. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Yulong. I'm a PhD student from the French group. Thank you very much to organize this amazing meeting. And also, I'm very happy to have my first oral presentation during my PhD here. So following Gino Lucas' talk, he showed us some EEG evidence that's how this this synchronization related to the cue trigger decision-making behavior. So here I would like to draw your attention to more in another aspect by using our work by using fMRI with a similar paradigm to investigate the role of motor system in cue trigger decision making and to give you some further insights into our spatial and functional evidence. So yesterday I arrived in Cesena very late in the evening. So I was looking for my hotel. That's my current, at that moment, my goal is to look for my hotel. However, imagine on the streets, there are many restaurant logo. Although I know it's not true, but imagine. And they attracted me, although my goal was to look for my hotel. But because I really need to be here in a good shape in the morning to give this talk. But because of this amazing restaurant logo, that may have a powerful influence on me. So I want to eat a burger, for example, McDonald's, like everyone knows, but I'm not a big fan of McDonald's. And then at the moment, yes, I'm hungry. I want to look for something to eat before I find my hotel. But then I found a bar logo with my favorite beer. And this is something I like. And then I have another things in my head that, okay, maybe I want to have a drink. And then, so we can see here is that this environment cues is continually influence our daily decision making. At some points, it can help us to better find a good restaurant or good beer to help us make a correct choice. But this also can be maladaptive when this action is no longer appropriate or difficult to control. For example, if yesterday night I'm difficult to control myself to drink a beer, maybe I won't be here today. So hopefully I control myself. So in this kind of, when it's become maladaptive, it can be observed in eating disorder or addictive behavior. So the question is, what is the underlying neural mechanism that drives this action decision? So as Sarah already introduced, I will quickly just give a background. There are two main points of view. One view consider that the maintenance of this cue trigger behavior is driven by explicit knowledge of a rewarding outcome from the related behavior, which is involve our reward system to like motivation and reward seeking. And also another view is that it also proposed that the motor planning and action preparation is also involved, how the cue might trigger our consequence actions. So, however, it appears that the underlying mechanism of this, how environment cues influence our behavior remains unclear and debates. So our study and also is our project is hypothesized that the motor system might play a key role in this cue triggered behavior. So to test this, in our current study with FMI, with the similar task, which I will quickly introduce later, 38 participants were recruited, and after the MRI data processing, 31 participants was included in the final analysis. So in our experiment, the day before the experiment, we will ask the participant to select 3 food rewards that they equally like and wanted to eat as a real stimuli in the experiment dates. And at the end of the experiment, they will really earn the real food they choose to give them the motivation during the task. So in the experiment days, inside the MRI scanner, first of all, they will do a localization task. The goal of this task is to locate the action preparation network, which I will further introduce the detail of the task design later in the region of interest analysis result part. And then they will go through a 4-phase Pavlovian to instrumental transfer task. In here, we have 2 tasks of Pavlovian learning. I will introduce different from the Gina Lucas analysis. We'll more focus on 2 phases of Pavlovian learning. So for the Pavlovian to instrumental transfer task here, first, during the Pavlovian learning phase, participants will introduce to observe the slot machine, which it will light up the different color. In each trial, it will light up a color first and then follow an outcome. So by trial by trial, participants will be able to associate different CSQ with different rewards. And then they will go through an instrumental task. In here, they will, each trial, when the bottom show up, they will be able to select to respond either left or right hand. So by the instrumental learning task, they will be able to associate reward with specific action left or right. And then they will go through again the Pavlovian phase, which in this moment, even though it's the exactly same task, by in between with the instrumental learning, in this moment, the Pavlovian second phase actually carry out not only the reward information, but also the action information in the CS1 and CS2. And then they will go through a transfer phase. And transfer phase, the slot machine will show up for 6 seconds and first light up the color, and they are free to respond how much time they want, or left or right. So in here we expect the CSQ might bias their response. So to better understand follow-up results, just summarize a little bit our experimental condition. So for the CS1 and CS2, here we call it action-specific condition. So, and for the CS3, as it never associated with any response, so it's more a reward general, and the CS minor is a control condition. So in here, at the behavioral level, we expect to observe a pit effect, which in the transfer phase, that the CS will bias our action. And at the neural level, we will more focus on the comparison between the first and second phase of Pavlovian learning, which we expect in the second phase of Pavlovian learning, the CSQ might activate area raising motor system. So first, next, I will show you behavioral results first. So in the action specifics pit effects here, which is focused on the CS1 and CS2, we observe a significant action-specific effects, which during the transfer phase, participants respond more congruently when CS1 presented, more they respond to the left, and CS2 presented, they more respond to the right, which is indicated that the cue were indirectly, although it's indirectly associated with a response, it can still bias our actions. And moreover, we also observe rewards, reward-related general its effects, which reward paired QCS3 cause more response in general compared to the non-reward paired CS minor. So what happened in our brain? So here, we focus on the action-related contrast, which we contrast. So this result is the whole brain analysis results. So for the action, here we first focus on the action-related contrast, which we contrast with CS1 plus CS2 versus CS3. So in the Pavlovian phase 1, we didn't observe any significant cluster, which means in this moment, before the instrumental phase, CS1, CS2, there is no motor-related information for the participants. What happened after the instrumental learning is, in the Pavlovian second phase, we observe a significant cluster of postcentral gyrus and superior parietal lobes. And here, I would like to remind you, our GOM is to model that the CS only focus on the effect of CS, which is the color, but not the reward. So in here, which means that for the CS color cue itself, in the Pavlovian 2, carry out some motor information. So for postcentral gyrus, it's been know that is responsible for the processing of somatosensory information from our body, and it also study show that it's also related to perception and integration of sensory cues that inform motor responses. And for the superior parietal lobe is know that's involved in the processing of visual and somatosensory information, which might contribute to the coordination and execution of motor responses. So following this, we also want to look for what's happening, interact between these two phases. And then we found the effects of the significant cluster of hippocampus. So although hippocampus is primary function is more related to learning and memory, but in here actually I found a study that's showing that it's also involved in the encoding of contextual information that might be allow association of cues with specific motor responses. So before I summarize our results, I would like to introduce you to the next results of the regions of interest analysis. So in here, I mentioned earlier that we have a functional localization task. So with this task, we ask the participant to, when they see the square or the circle, to prepare respond to left or right. But we have 90% of the trial is no-go trial, which we only analyze the no-go trial to, in this case, to locate the motor preparation networks. And for the circle, for the square and circle is counterparents. So in here, with this functional localization task, we are able to localize several motor related action preparation related motor cortex. So here and then we extract the beta value from the regions of interest. So what we found first is in the supplementary motor cortex, In the Pavlovian 1, we didn't observe any difference between the four CSQ, but in the Pavlovian 2, we observe significant difference between CS1 and CS3, which it means that it looks like CS1 compared, which is action-related Q, compared to CS3 non-action, it have more higher activation. And also we found a similar pattern in the superior parietal lobe. And for the supplemental motor area, it is well known that its importance in the motor preparation, and it might be involved in the generating of the motor plan and integrates information from different brain regions. And for the supplemental superior parietal lobe, we already introduced that it's involved in coordination and execution of motor responses. And also we have another similar pattern was found in the middle frontal gyrus, which is known that's related to cognitive control and execution function. And we consider this might be the play a role in the selection and suppression of inappropriate responses. And also it might be for the participant is important to maintain the task of the goal of the task. So we have a lot of activation here. So what is happening? So first I would like to let you know this is our preliminary ROI analysis. Although we didn't observe a lot of lateralization so far, but we are planning to follow up the analysis with NVPA and RSA's more advanced analysis. Maybe we could find more results, but so far by whole brain analysis and region of interest analysis, we do observe motor system involved in this cue guided behavior. So to conclude what we found in this study, at the behavioral level, we observe significant effects of both action specific and reward general by its effects, which means that cues themselves can bias our actions, although is never directly associated with related behavior. So at the neural level, during the second Pavlovian phase, the color cues, although indirectly associated with action, it can lead to a significant activation of multiple brain regions within the motor system. Which means this cue-triggered behavior might be involved the coordinated activation of several motor regions. The superior parietal lobe and postcentral gyrus might be involved in the process of sensory cues, while the hippocampus might be is important when encoding the contextual information and form the cue response association, and also it's related to learning and memory. And the middle frontal gyrus might be is important in the control attention and indicates our volunteer movements. Response inhibition, and the supplementary motor areas is important in the motor planning and initiates the movements. So together, this region might be is the underlying processing that's help enable us to integrate and execute guide our cue triggered behavior. So although we hope we can bring more further result in the following months for the analysis, but so far we can make a conclusion that our current results suggest that the motor process might be its importance in the cue trigger decision-making behavior. So thank you very much for your attention and for all of you. So, questions? Yes. So if you directly compare the Pavlovian 1 and Pavlovian 2, actually I did the analysis for the ROI analysis, and you actually can see that in general, you will see Pavlovian 2 will have the seed nodes reduced. So it's hard when you directly compare Pavlovian 1 and 2, you find the difference, but you don't know where it comes from. Is because you're inside the MRI scanner. In general, in the Pavlovian 2, you have a signal reduce, or is because there are different motor activation between the Pavlovian 1 and 2. So this is also one of the things we need to, we are looking for a way to how to model the signal changes within the time sequence to look on the real effects. Now we do have some effects, the difference between Pavlovian 1 and 2 when you contrast them directly. But it's hard, we didn't show this is because for us it's hard to say it is the real effect so far. Yes. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. No more questions. So